Congrats, hey. We'll be bigger next week. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started today. Let's go ahead and get started. Sunday school. Does everybody have a handout today that needs one? We've got some extras on tables if anybody needs an extra one, I'm sure. All right, today's topic is hospitality. And Pastor and I switched, so I usually teach the early class or the small new member class, and Pastor's in there today talking about Lord's Supper, which he likes to have at least a couple sessions in there with the new members, which is a good thing. Give him a little bit of time for the new members to ask questions to the experts and things like that. And so I'm out here. My name is Tony Manasari, if you don't know me. Just glad to teach you guys today or lead you guys. Again, today's topic is hospitality. Let's go ahead and start with a prayer, and then we'll go ahead and dive right in, okay? So let's pray. Dear Father, thank you so much for bringing us together today. We thank you so much for this week of just magnifying your name and shouting praises to your name. Thank you for coming into our lives. Thank you for sacrificing yourself for us and for our sin. We ask that you would help us to grow in your word and grow in your understanding of what it is to love our neighbor as ourselves. And just please bring us together to align with your word in our community. All these things we ask in Jesus' holy name. Amen. All right, so we've been, I think, walking through Proverbs. Is that right? In here? So again, I haven't been to these classes since I've been in the other class. But, Proverbs, we're going to be talking about Proverbs 31 first. So let's go ahead and read that together here. And this is Proverbs 31, 10 through 31. An excellent wife who can find, she is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax, the works with willing hands. She is like the ships of a merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is still yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hands to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known at the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of your hands and let her works praise her in the gates. All right. That was a long one. So the book of Proverbs ends. This is the ending of Proverbs. Anybody ever done a 31 weeks or day study during the month of the year that have 31 days? Just read one a day. It's a good idea to do that if you'd like to. But there's 31 chapters, 31 days, some of those months. You could do a whole book of Proverbs in a month. But the book of Proverbs ends with wisdom personified in a noble woman. This example combines all the characteristics and expressions of a wise person into one wise, noble woman. So how does the noble woman live a wise life, and what are the things she's responsible for? Everything. I heard everything. Good answer. What else besides everything?
It explains how thoughtful she is.
Thoughtfulness?
Yeah, not just feeding the household, but also then portioning the maids, considering a field, just going beyond like basic needs.
Yeah. Okay. Beyond basic needs, providing for her household, not only the household, but extra people in the household. What else? Look over that passage and shout a few things. Dick?
Yeah, she's a wonder woman.
She's a wonder woman? Yeah.
She takes care of everything in the house. She's got a business. She treats everyone, with respect. And everyone respects her for her wisdom and her beauty.
Very good. Very good.
She buys the land.
Buys the land? Yeah, she's an investor and turns it into a vineyard. Fears the Lord, yes. What was the other one? What'd you say?
Michael said it.
She's got to do what she's got to do for wine.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do for wine. There you go. She also says she has a sense of humor too, on here,
She reaches out to the needy.
Reaches out to the needy, yeah, and the poor. Yep. Yes, ma'am?
Spins the fiber and she weaves the cloth and she dyes it and she makes all the clothes for families.
Very good. Yeah, she spins it, she makes it, designs it. Yep.
Probably grows the cloth.
Right. Yeah. She probably has another field with some kind of cotton in there. Anything else? Yeah.
She gets up before the sunlight.
Yeah. She's getting up at night. Exactly. All right. So she's got a lot of things going on for her. She's working pretty hard, isn't she? So her husband, household, poor and needy, all these things that she's responsible for. How does she demonstrate wisdom in the ways we've studied? And there's a long list that I've pointed out here, I've picked out, but let's see if you can get some of them. How does she demonstrate wisdom? Fear in the Lord, okay. What was that? Forethought. She's responsible and looking towards the future. What else?
She opens her mouth with wisdom.
Opens her mouth with wisdom. Okay. What else? He's more passionate than I am, I'll tell you that. What else, guys? There's a long list. Louise.
Well, it's not listed here, but she is the glue that holds the family together.
Yeah, very much so. The glue that holds the family together.
Tony?
Yeah.
This is titled An Ode to a Wife, which was written by obviously her husband, and rightfully so. But a couple things in here that I think we can take away. First of all, it was very cultural. She wasn't the only lady that did it like this, but also she had means. Her husband was very wealthy, that she could do these things. And the beauty of it, in the wealth, she loved God and the wisdom of fear of the Lord so much that this was part of her lifestyle, her dedication to people and her family and to the things that good Jewish women did back in those days. And what I like a lot of is she honored her husband in the gate, which meant her husband was of nobility, and he said in the gate, it could have been in the days of Solomon, could have been in one of the areas where they make judges, where they judge and make decisions for like civil things and things like that. So this is one of my favorite verses.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, if you don't know, men at the gate typically were, of noble standing, so to speak. They greeted everybody that came into the city. They knew everybody, but they also stood and decided these civil matters. So if someone had to sell something, they would be witnesses to that sale, things like that.
Disputes.
Yeah, any kind of dispute. So kind of local judges, like you said, Conrad. Yep. Kelly,
Well, and I think.
birthday girl,
In light of that.
birthday girl.
Happy birthday.
In light of the fact that her husband was a nobility and had means and wealth, she could have been idle, right? And there was no idleness in her. She took her opportunities then for her blessings to bless others.
Right.
So, that's valuable.
Exactly right. Very good. So how does she show hospitality, and for whom does she make space? I mentioned some already.
Show me your hands to the poor and feed the needy.
Poor and needy is one.
For family.
Family, yeah. Husband, spouse, staff, right? And I think there was maybe one more in there that we touched on.
That
What about-
would be in the part that's cut off of the page.
Oh, is there cut off there? I heard everybody turning their pages before I did, so I assumed there was something there. What about the marketplace? I mean, she spun this, the cloth and things like that and sold it. She planted a vineyard, so she's providing for the market as well. Anything else you saw? That's all I had. All right, the noble woman of Proverbs 31 works hard, yet she makes time for her spouse and children. She's a giver, not a getter. She's a friend to the poor and the stranger. She demonstrates hospitality by making space for them. She's a shining example of what it looks like to apply the wisdom of God to the practice and discipline of hospitality. All right. So could the woman be hospitable if she hadn't lived wisely with her finances and work? Could the woman be hospitable if she hadn't cared for her family? So Conrad said that she probably had means. What if she didn't have means? Would it have been easy to be hospitable?
It might be easy, but still possible.
So maybe what else could she have given if not money? Time, talent, right? Okay. So not, yes, it's easier. Money obviously brings choices and give options to people, but you still have, your time that you can give, which is, some would say, one of the most valuable things that you can give, being present, being able to be with somebody. Kathy?
Well, it does say that she had money, her merchandise is profitable. so
Right.
obviously she had business.
Right. Yeah. But if not, you can still do it, right? You don't have to be of a wealthy, you don't have to be a wealthy person in order to be hospitable. What about if she didn't care for her family? Could she still be hospitable? What's that? Someone said something over here?
Well, hospitality is kind of an interesting thing back in the Old Testament, because hospitality is considered what you did to foreign, stranger, not necessarily internally. To answer your question, if she didn't take care of her family, she would be ostracized from the community. The ladies in the community would not be very kind to her whatsoever.
Very much so.
Like the basic initial, you have to go through your family, and it overflows outside of that.
Yep.
That's the pride of a woman, or a wife, if you will, in the Jewish culture, how she takes care of her family, which obviously her husband thought very highly of.
Just like if you're riding an airplane, what do you got to do first? You got to put your mask on first, and you can help your family. All right. what would hospitality look like if she hadn't been wise in the other areas? And what keeps you from being hospitable? I'm not talking to anybody that's not hospitable. That's the thing. What keeps you from being more hospitable?
Selfish.
You're selfish? Are you? Okay. She said it. I didn't say that.
Fatigue.
Fatigue. Okay. Yeah. For doing all this stuff. Yeah. Al?
We're selfish in that the time we have, we spend it on ourselves and not on others.
Okay. Yeah. Self-pleasing.
I think sometimes we think we have to do everything for everyone, but if we do a small act, not only does that help someone, but it can lead to the ripple effect. They may be able to help someone else
Yep.
after that, someone may see you helping someone. So kind of taking any like stigma away that it doesn't have to be to save the world.
Mhm.
If you can do an action that grows, so maybe just taking away that pressure.
Very much so. That ripple effect that, you do one small thing, which could lead for that person to do another small act of kindness. It's a great thing to do, and pass it on, right? I think our presence, just presence in the sanctuary on Sunday morning is an act of hospitableness. Just being there and being present where a stranger or someone that doesn't go to church very often can see you and feel, wow, this is a place that I know that I can come and have friendship with somebody and know that that person is there. So get here every Sunday. There's another hand up somewhere. Where was it?
Well, the
Jamie?
question was, if you aren't wise, what keeps you from being hospitable? I think in the secular world, what I see sometimes is, which would be not wise, is being hospitable for the purpose of me and not for the purpose of who I'm being hospitable to.
Yeah.
For me to look good.
Yep.
Instead of.
You and Conrad are reading ahead, I think.
Oh, are we?
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just so wise.
Yeah, that's right. Very wise. Very wise. All right. Wise people are hospitable to strangers because they have the physical, emotional, spiritual, and relational space to welcome others into their lives. If we don't make space for what matters most, we won't be able to make space for others. Our lives won't have the bandwidth. Wise people welcome others into their lives as family and with the love of God. So let's read Leviticus. Any thoughts on that first before we go on? So wise people have those gifts already, and then they include others in those gifts as well. So using their spiritual gifts. So let's read Leviticus 19, 33 through 34. This is kind of what Conrad was alluding to earlier. So when a stranger sojourns with you in your land, you shall not do him wrong. You shall treat the stranger who sojourns with you as the native among you, and shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So in this passage, God commanded his people to treat strangers with hospitality. It's a cascading command, beginning with not mistreating them, and then treating them as if they belong, and finally loving them as ourselves. God's command is to love outsiders and strangers as we would love our families. So who are the strangers, outsiders, and neighbors around you, and how would you characterize your relationship with these people? Who are those people in your lives? Who are the strangers or the foreigners or people like that?
Well, they might just be acquaintances, that you don't know real deeply, but you see, like right now, I'm going to physical therapy for my arm, and so I'm meeting people there, and I'm inviting them to church.
Good.
Anywhere, anywhere that you run into somebody.
Mhm.
So.
be our actual neighbors too, the people we live next to.
Yeah. Who is very good friends with their neighbors? I know quite a few of you are, like Gail, Keith, I know you guys are like neighbors already. And I know you guys have kind of very close knit block of people. Anybody else have a pretty close block, you guys? Young families, I assume. So you guys get together and do things together. That's great. That's where the church gets smaller to get bigger, to grow larger. You have to do that. That ministry has to be smaller. Anybody else have, a neat story to talk about, or their own personal example of what they do in their neighborhood? Or I don't know my one neighbor well at all. They're both emergency room doctors, and it seems like they're never home. And I've seen them just a few times, really, in public. And we don't go out, like Keith says, we don't go out either. We don't see the sunshine of our own house. So
We do like once or twice a year, like block party potluck kind
Yep.
of thing with our street.
Yep, that's great. Could you organize that if you don't have it? Could that be done? Could it be something you could organize yourself? Yeah, sure could. Where was I the other day, or saw something where somebody, where was it? Oh, we were at the movies the other day, and one of the guys organizing the movie is kind of a documentary. He said, I started about 6 months ago this men's group in my neighborhood where we would meet on Fridays at 6:30, and for 6 weeks nobody ever showed up. Then finally one of my neighbors came, and then we've got a group of about 6 to 8 of them that meet, and I don't know what they meet about. I'm assuming prayer or something, because it's 6:30 in the morning on Fridays, so they got to go to work afterwards. He was of working age, so I'm assuming it wasn't to have a beer and watch the game or something like that. So yeah, Conrad.
I had an experience on hospitality back many years ago. Went to Turkey, and we with Ray Vanderloop. Some of you may have seen some of his movies. I have no idea where we were, no idea. So it was dark as usual, and so we're walking down to our bus, and we're going through this village, and I have a picture on my desk, and it's not very well lit. And this guy comes out, and he had these grapes about this big, and they were just had water. He just washed them. He's handing them to us to eat as his hospitality. That's how he. And we're looking at these grapes and the water, and we're not supposed to drink the water. We ate every stinking grape. We were so hungry, and because we were going to go eat, but Ray had been marching us all over Sardis and all that area. So, and this is typical of the Middle Eastern people, and this goes back to Abraham. Goes all the way back to Abraham.
Very much so.
Yeah, but he would, if you ever know, just his smile would light up a room because he was so grateful that we would honor him by eating his grapes.
Mm-hmm. What would that look like if we did that?
Nobody got sick. That's right. Nobody got sick.
I bet. Yeah, Rob.
I have something. So the other day, Mia made these signs, and just out of the blue decides she wanted to create a kids Bible study. So she made like 10 signs, like put the papers all over, and like put kids Bible study, drew a heart on it. On the back, like wrote, for more information, call 4176, like my phone number. And I'm like, where are you planning on putting these? And she's like, well, I'm gonna hang them up all over the neighborhood. And she's like, we need to set a day. And she decided she wants to do it at the Nixa Park, where and I'm like, well, what are you gonna teach about? She's like, well, I'm just gonna read Bible stories, and maybe we can show like a storybook episode. I mean, she's planning this all out.
Good for her.
Yeah, and I was like, are you gonna hang any of these up at the church? And she's like, no, I need to get these people who don't know about Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I need, like, even just talking about this, I'm like, I really need to make this happen. And even if kids don't show up, I bet you should still talk to kids at the park about it. But I think I can learn from that as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Heart of a child to do that. Yeah. Anybody belong to any other Bible studies outside of this one here? I think I know a lot of you guys do. You know, we have those studies available to us here. There's a men's Bible study on Fridays. There's the AIM study and fellowship on Thursdays. What's going on, Hannah? What is it?
A woman's study
Woman?
on Monday.
That's pretty new though, right?
Yep.
I was going to ask when that was. So we got a women's study on Mondays. What time is that? 9? Okay. That's great. Is there another one that we don't know about?
Thursday morning at Village Inn Women
Okay. Some ladies at Village Inn.
at
Yeah.
8:30.
Which one? South Campbell? Okay. I think I've seen you guys there before, actually.
There's a young adult study Monday nights,
Young adult, Monday nights. What time is that?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay. And then go ahead and start your own if you don't, if you want to study something.
I think there's one on Tuesdays in Springfield, right?
Is there a Tuesday in Springfield?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good deal.
There's a Crossway in Springfield on Thursday at 10 o'clock, I believe.
Okay. And then
Church.
is Bible study fellowship going on right now? Anybody know? Is that
I think it
you
is.
go to that?
I
Okay.
think it is.
Yeah. That's what, 2 years long? Is that what it is? 2-year long study through the Bible? Okay. They do different books and stuff, but that's a really intense study if anybody would like to do that. Anybody gone through Bible study fellowship before? You have, Jenny? Okay. All right. You had something going on.
I was just thinking of the word of the outsiders, strangers, outsiders, and neighbors. Outsiders kind of makes me as walk through your door or walk through your church door, you see them wherever.
Yeah.
They don't look like you, they don't smell like you, they don't act like you, and how does that show them?
Yeah, what does that mean? Because I don't look like you. You don't look like me,
Well, I'm
fortunately.
more extreme.
Yeah, so what does that mean that someone doesn't?
A homeless man coming through the door.
Okay, maybe different socioeconomic levels, maybe? Is that what it is? That would be, someone walked in with a 3-piece suit, would that be easier to greet them versus someone that you could tell probably hasn't taken a shower in a few weeks, homeless? Or what? Refugees from different countries? We do. It seems like there's a lot of, people come from the southern border, into different areas. We really haven't seen that in Springfield as much, but we are getting a large amount of refugees from the Ukrainian war. At least we started, last year, we were getting a large number of that because we do have a large Russian and Ukrainian, Slavic community in Springfield area, which is great. But they come over with nothing. What else does it look like?
It strikes me that Jesus expounded on this in the parable of the Good Samaritan.
You're getting ahead too. We're about to read that. Yeah, let's do that now. Good segue. So also consider Jesus' teaching on loving our neighbors in Luke 10:25 through 37. So let's go ahead and read that. It's very, this is one a lot of people have known and read, but let's go ahead and review it. I gotta get it here. Okay, everybody have it? Luke 10:25 through 37. And behold, a lawyer stood up and put him to the test, saying, Teacher, Jesus, what should I do to inherit eternal life? And he said to him, What is written in the law? How do you read it? And he answered, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And he said to him, You have answered correctly. Do this, and you will live. But he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, And who is my neighbor? Jesus replied, A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers, who stripped him and beat him and departed, leaving him half dead. And if you ever studied, back then, that road from Jerusalem to Jericho was a pretty treacherous road. It was You know, it's like the Baghdad Mile or something like that. It's a pretty bad place to be. Now, by chance, a priest who was going down that road, when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place, he saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him, bound up his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he set him on his own animal and brought him to an inn and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, "Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I come back." Which of these 3 do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell among the robbers? And he said, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said to him, "You go and do likewise." So in this passage, an expert of the law asked Jesus, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus responded with the parable of the Good Samaritan as a picture of what it means to love others as family. Through this parable, it becomes clear that our neighbor is anyone who needs the gospel. I need new glasses. How did the Good Samaritan love and show mercy to his neighbor, and what specific actions demonstrated hospitality?
Met his most urgent needs.
Okay, what were those needs?
His wounds,
Bound up his wounds, right?
found a place to stay, some food.
Went to his house, gave him a ride, right? Poured oil on, kind of treated his wounds with oil and wine.
Found a place for him to stay.
Yeah, paid for it. Gave him an all-inclusive stay at a resort for two days. So how does this definition of neighbor challenge your ideas of the people to whom you're called to show hospitality? I've often heard the parable in a different way, where the person that is fallen upon is a serviceman in Iraq, and a chaplain walked by and say, "No, I'm not going to treat this guy," and then a sergeant walked by and said, "No, I'm not going to treat this guy," but a member of the Taliban come over and do the exact same thing as the Samaritan did. How do you feel about that? Does that hit home a little bit more than the Samaritan? So, Mark, what do you think about that? Not going to happen? But, again, that was an extreme example, right? But we would understand that a little bit more.
One of the things to keep in mind here, you talk about the Levi and the priest. Well, they were both serving in the temple.
Yeah.
And so there's really deep Jewish law and tradition that dealt with a dead body or something that is dying.
Right.
And you have to dig deep into this thing. And so
they would be unclean. They couldn't serve in the temple for.
They would have been unclean, and then by being unclean, you had to go through this period of time of ritual, which they couldn't serve in the temple.
Right.
So it'd be like, for me, for an example, I come to church and I would teach like you will. So I have a responsibility, and I see somebody. But if I wait on them, I'll be late. So what do? Well, hopefully I choose to take care of that, and let God take care of the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't, it's kind of like the Levi or the priest. Were they bad? No. But who's the foreigner here? It's the guy who's beaten.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus uses the Samaritan as an example of a person who was hated, literally,
right,
by the Jews. And so there's a lot of really good stuff in here about how we treat neighbors and so on. And it's not the Levites and the priests are not the bad guys. They just made a bad decision. I'll confess, I've made the probably should have helped people that.
Oh yeah, you pass people all the time on the side of the road, don't we?
Yeah.
And Jesus knew about what the job a Levite had or a priest had, but he also knew that it was better to not go to the temple or to be unclean, so he couldn't serve in the temple and help that person in need. That was the idea behind this story. And then the example of using a Samaritan the hated rival of the Jewish people, so to speak, the half-breeds of the Jews, so to speak, was just like, wow, I can't believe you would say that, Jesus. Why would you bring this nasty person up, among us? So that's the thing. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
Tony brought it up, so anyway, I love this story. And I always told I always go back to what I know where I came from. But some of the places that I've been to, the countries I've been in, the people that, the American military soldier, the American military person, US person, they're loved and adored by these people because they know that they can come to us and we'll take care of them. The Haitians, when I was in Haiti, they would go like this when we showed up, and that means we were angels from God. It was very interesting because we could care less what color you are, what religion you are, what you believe in, we took care of it. And I would watch soldiers do this and hold children, it's just, it brings tears to your eyes sometimes.
That was in Haiti, you said?
Well, Haiti, Iraq,
Okay.
all these places have been to see Thailand, in the Philippines, throughout Asia. When the Americans show up, it just makes it reminds me of a story of a good Samaritan. Not that we're all good, because we're not. There are bad spots, but for the most part, people love us. And they love Americans because they know they're gonna, I guess they see Christ or us or what. And any chance you get, you pray for them and you talk to them. That guy used to pray for some of the most evil people on earth. The interrogation facility guy. It's horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
For some reason, they would just look at him, you, they'd rather kill me than talk to me, but they would talk to me, which is very interesting.
Kelly, you have something?
Well, and it's probably maybe too political for this, but we're not very open with our borders. A lot of Christians are very much like, no, make sure those borders are closed. And yet, this message is about being hospitable to people, about foreigners, and that's tough, right?
Yeah, some of our laws and thoughts as Americans go in, fly in the face of what Jesus taught us, Yep.
No, I think something that comes to mind is when I take our son to the playground, like when it all comes down to it, he meets all different kids, sometimes different, even like communication ability or just interest, and yet for the most part, like they all get along, they all play, they all like enjoy each other. Someone falls down, usually they'll kind of help pick up, and it's like on a very boiled down, like that's what you should be doing. It's taking away all this extra. And I feel like that's all like gets to gray area, right? But on the very boiled down bottom level, it's like we should be helping each other, enjoying each other, celebrating each other.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a lot more layers to that, but just like on that kind of faith like a child level, all the extra doesn't matter.
Great example. Great example. Those things that we did as a child, we've stopped doing those kind of things. And what did Jesus do when to the little children? Come on, don't shun them away, bring them over, and then he said, you have to have faith like a child in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. How did Jesus embody the actions, love, and hospitality of the Good Samaritan?
He interacted with the undesirables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the least of these, is that something you could say? Yeah. I love serving, for the least of these. I know quite a few of you guys serve either least of these, which is Christian County's Food Pantry, or Crossways, which is Greene County's Food Pantry. Just a great thing to do. Encourage you guys to volunteer if you can, or give and support those hungry people in need. It's a good thing to do. Anybody else have service options for like that they may partake in? We've hosted the Christian County Homeless Alliance here at a church and have done the soup, the hot soup cold nights here. And those of you who've partaken of that, it's a great thing to do. Yeah, Jen.
I would highly recommend Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yeah.
You get very relational, and it can seem like a big commitment, but they actually offer a program called Lunch Buddies.
Yep.
Where you just go once a week their elementary kids' lunches are like 20 minutes long.
Yeah, right.
So it's 20 minutes once a week, and that you can help in a lot of ways, or you can form a one-on-one relationship with somebody, and I think that can hopefully make a bigger difference long term.
Yeah, Big Brothers Big Sisters is new to Nixa. That's a new opportunity here. So if you would like to serve in Nixa, Ozark, Branson, they just started going down to Branson as well. So they're really expanding that service area. They used to be almost Springfield only. Now they've got some other areas that they are in, and it's a great program to just come alongside of a kid, listen to them, be that be that dad or mom or big sister or little sister or big brother. It's like the name of it, right? Yeah. Imagine that. Good name for the organization.
Every semester, the Lutheran Student Center looks for people to sign up and provide meals once a week for their group. I think there's a couple signups left for this spring even.
And that's for the college kids up on campus. Yep. All right. Anybody else have any opportunities that they have?
I think an unusual one maybe, but being in the healthcare field, donating blood, plasma, it help people that are in need, that need that to survive.
Yeah, great one. Very good. What are some other things? Yep.
Ronald McDonald House.
Ronald McDonald House. Yep.
Yeah. It's like also the people who are Christians, they're going through a tough time, it can be very trying on faith and just their energy and being another outlet.
Okay.
That helps them.
Yep. Jenny?
Locally, there's an organization called Abundant Blessings.
Abundant Blessings.
And they collect clothing for foster children.
Yep.
So a lot of times when these kids are taken in, they just have the clothes they're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
So the foster parent can bring them there, and they can pick out like 3 different outfits and shoes and stuff for school.
Mm-hmm.
So you could go there and help sort clothes or donate. I brought my kids several times.
Is that kind of near City Hall here
It's
still?
just- yeah, it's just
I think we provided the sign for them, actually. We bought a sign for them a long time ago. Yeah, the church did. Kind of one thing we gave back to.
All of the ramps that Al has built, and they help groups that help me.
Yep. Anybody here help Al before? I know my son has, but I have not. Dwayne has.
There's several, they're not holding others.
They're not holding their hands up? Shy? Okay. Great job, guys. And then, we have trustees here. Hannah, what else we got going on for ways to serve the least of these, so to speak, in our community?
Oh, we have all sorts. Our middle schoolers and high schoolers each do a service project every single month. We have Serve Week coming up.
Yep.
So we're going to be out in our community serving in at least 5 different ways.
Okay.
Some people from our congregation serve and go serve college kids meals on Tuesday night.
Yep. We mentioned that already. Yep.
Yep. We have Crossways. We have groups of people who go to the different pantries, including newborns in need and help there. People at Redeemer do hundreds and hundreds of service projects each year.
Awesome. Gail, you're signing people up for the Shine Project right now.
Yes.
How many people do we have signed up so far? Couldn't tell. What do you think?
Not many.
Not many. Okay. So there's other ways to serve. Here we have, the street cleanup that we do. We've adopted this highway here. We're not doing 4 times a year like they expect us to. So, at least sign up for that. With the construction we had last few years, it was kind of difficult, but we don't have any construction. It's a nice place to walk now and nice sidewalks most of the place. What are the other opportunities?
On April 13th, the churches are getting together and having a community serve event, and they're going to work at Rotary Garden.
Okay.
And either pulling weeds, spreading mulch, whatever. The
people from parks tell them. And then actually Redeemer is hosting a meal following that. And so you can either volunteer at the garden or you can help with the meal. Then for the children on Tuesday, I think it's the 16th. Yeah, I think it's the 16th, between 6 and 8. Dr. Holmes and his family always do the community garden. And last year, the children were able to help plant. He got the ground ready and they dug the holes and they put the plants in, and they give lots and lots of food down to the community. On Wednesday, the 17th, then there's Habitat for Humanity, where you can volunteer in the afternoon. I think it's from 12 to 3 at their restore, and just do whatever. Last year we stocked things and reorganized, and some people did some things outside with straightening up for them. And then on the 20th, there's 2 opportunities. There's the road cleanup, and then also at the Lutheran Student Center, they're going to be doing some small landscaping type projects. So those are the 5 things that you can volunteer for. I have my computer here. If you're not computer literate or you don't think you'll remember when you get home, I'd be happy to sign you up.
Awesome.
We're also during that week going to remulch the playground at SLS for the kids.
Okay.
And at both of our schools, only about 20% of our students are church members. So it's a huge community outreach anytime we support either of our schools.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. We got a few minutes left. What I want to do is, keep this because this is the last day for the Lenten study, I think, on Proverbs, right? And did you guys take an inventory like the first week on the handout or booklet that you have? And because it says, to review those goals that you had, to be wise and look back on those things you wrote, 30 some days ago, and what is keeping you from doing the things that you learned about or wanted to do, and celebrate those things that you have done, and so do that. But I want to take the last 5 minutes or so and just talk about our church here and being hospitable in this place. We have, if you volunteer to be a greeter, raise your hand. Okay. Gail, do you need more people to do that?
I definitely do. I just had 2 people this morning tell me they were dropping out.
Okay.
And so I need greeters at both services. It's an easy thing to do. You just have to come 15 minutes before service. Smile. I have a little orientation thing. Wear your thing and be friendly. You're the first impression people get of our church. And just like when you go house shopping, people make a decision from the road whether they even want to go in.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that. And so it's a very important role. And we've had people that have served for a long time, and some of them have said, I just got to take a break, or I'm tired of doing that. So if we could have some fresh blood, it would be great.
Would it be nice for, spouses to do that together on a Sunday?
Oh, yeah. Quite a few people.
Wife take one door, husband take another door, or something like that?
Right.
Do we do the 2 doors here?
Yes.
Okay, that's the only ones we do.
Right.
So 2 doors. If we had enough, would we do all the doors?
I don't know how many people come.
Yeah, I don't think anybody comes in that
but
one.
at least these 2 doors. But,
Okay.
right now, in a 4-month period, I try not to have anybody serve more than 3 or 4 times. But
Okay.
with people keep dropping out, it's going to end up being more, and that puts a lot of burden on other people.
Yeah.
But, like they always say, many hands makes light work.
That's
So
right.
either, talk to me or call me. I've had it in the bulletin since March 1st, and I've had no one come forward, so I would be very happy if anyone did. So.
Who would like to say, yes, I will do that? Oh, we got one here. Good job.
Because I will just email Gail and say, I can't work this much, or I can only do these days, and she's very accommodating.
Yeah, awesome. Yes.
Question. So we're not members yet at the church, but Does that, can you still be greeters?
Oh, yeah.
Right, see?
Yeah. What does membership get you here? Maybe a discount on the building? You know, I mean, we want people to serve the Lord, serve our fellow, man, then count on membership. So please get involved is all you can, okay? But we'd love for you to be members too, okay? Anybody, now that Gail has spoken, would anybody like to volunteer to be a greeter? Awesome, awesome. Anybody else? Husband, wife, maybe like to do that? Okay. Think about it, pray about it, and God's telling you to do it. So you don't have to pray too hard and just go volunteer. We have ushers during the service, which has really died down. We used to have a list of volunteers that was their duty to do that. Now we don't collect plates anymore, pass plates up and down the aisles. Al and John pretty much are the ushers in first service. I think Andy Redmond, is he still doing second service pretty much primarily? Okay. I mean, so step up, help those guys, they want to go on vacation sometimes too, but if they may just tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, can you get this side or that side? Okay. Kelly, you run the fellowship here, which is showing hospitality by giving beverages and donuts to people and cleaning up afterwards. Do you have any spots open?
Well, we'll always take more, but I think there are other areas that probably need it more. Greeting, which is even easier than the coffee, or takes less time, I should say.
Yep.
Ushering, etc. I think those are great needs, but I will always take more. We have about 9 people right now, which means you typically do it once every other month. I mean, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, but once every 9 weeks or something like that, really.
And it's pretty awesome because you get to see everyone come through the line, so you really do get to know everybody, and and it's just an easy way behind the scenes to serve.
And then those of us, again, what's that?
The sign up is not out yet, but it will be within the next 3 or so weeks, probably. VBS this summer.
Oh yeah, Vacation Bible
Will
School.
be coming up soon, and we'll need lots of volunteers in a variety of ways.
Then after that, we'll have trunk or treat. That's one of our big outreach in the community, showing hospitality to people in here. So you guys are all very regulars in service. I want you to be, I have a term for it. I can't remember my term. Okay. It's something that's, you have an activity that's you look like it's spontaneous. Okay. Like when you greet at the door, yes, you're just, hi, thanks for being here today. I don't know if I know your name or something like that, but if you could maybe pass that person on to someone else and let them walk them through the church, what would that look like? Now you're getting to show them around. Here's the bathrooms. Here's our pastor. Introduce them to the pastor. Come sit next to me and worship. Things like that. That's taking it to the next level. Okay. If you were an usher in service and see someone you don't know, go up to them and ask them afterwards. I don't know if I met you before. I do that all the time, and I've met people many times already, but I just forget. Okay. But that's the easiest way to do it because we have 2 campuses here. We have 2 services in this church. If you come to early service, you probably don't go and see anybody in second service unless you stay after Sunday school. So there's a bunch of strangers that are about to come in here, this building. That's a great opportunity to meet them. So don't say, are you a member? That's probably not a great thing to say. Say, I don't know if I've met you before. Okay. And then strike up a conversation. Have 3 questions for people. People like to talk about themselves. So ask them, what do you do? Do you live in Nixa? What brought you here? What do you do for a living? Are you retired? How long have you been retired? Do you have any kids? Do you have grandkids? That people want to talk about themselves. So, try to do that. Try to be, take active interest in people that you don't know. And guess what? They'll turn into someone that you will know. And hopefully won't darken the door of this place, more than, a couple times a year. Kelly.
Well, I think it was last week, we were talking about this, you and I and a couple others, about don't rush out of service afterwards to get the coffee and donuts, but take a moment to look around your area, because let's face it, we're Lutheran, we all sit in the same spots.
Right.
Who do we not know? in our area and make sure that we're greeting.
Yep.
Taking and asking those questions and all that, and then coming out with them to talk.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting with our common friends, you know, share that time.
This is a good place not to switch it up all the time. You know, maybe if you have a place in the sanctuary you sit all the time, take notice of those new people that have come in that you don't know. Again, I don't think I met you before. My name is Tony. You know, what's your name? And just ask them about themselves. Okay. So we are at time. Let's go out and show your love to your neighbor this week. Take it active way to do it. You got to show kindness. You can have compassion, but you got to show kindness. You got to do things. So let's go and do it. All right. All right. Bake sales.